Part 17. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 161. Zhangju's rebellion, coupled with the Wuhuan leader Qiu Lihua, also got involved and led the Wuhuan aliens to burn, kill, and loot in Yuzhu. The final result was that both of them survived after surrendering. The only Zhang Chun who was killed was scolded by Lu Yu after Gong Sun-zan killed him. He also threatened to report to the imperial court if he dared to massacre foreigners again and remove him from his position as the governor of Beiping. This result was beyond everyone's expectation. You know, before Lu Yu came, rebellion was a capital crime everywhere. What's more, Zhangju still colluded with foreign tribes and invaded his own country to rebel. This was a capital crime that would implicate the 9 tribes in any case. But Lu Yu just let him go, and even came to arrest Wuhuan leader Qiu Lihua without any punishment. This makes many people feel very magical. Before Lu Yu came, if they had dared to do such a thing in Yuzhu, Gong Sun-zan's white horse Yi Kong and Lu Feng's Dragon City cavalry would have cut off the heads of Zhangju and Qiu Lihua, and killed them. The Zhai Wuhuan people were exterminated. Not only Gong Sun-zan, but also Lu Feng couldn't help but complain to his subordinates Guoqia, Taishi Ci, and others after learning the news. If Lu Yu continues to indulge foreign races without any bottom line, there will be big trouble sooner or later. Even if there is a Han who wants to rebel, as long as he brings a foreign tribe to join the army, Lu Yu will let the foreigners go according to Huirou's policy. The foreigners have been spared, and the rebel is a Han, so he must be spared. In this way, colluding with foreign tribes to rebel was originally a serious crime that could be punished, but Lu Yu interfered with it and became a life-saving talisman. In this regard, without Guoqia and Lu Feng having to say anything, even Ma Chao, who was only 9 years old, could see that Lu Yu was seeking death. According to the temperament of the foreigners who are lazy and willing to bully the weak but fear the strong, seeing that under Lu Yu's governance in Yuzhu, even if the foreign invaders would not be in danger of their lives, they would probably have the idea of a euro plundering Yuzhu. In fact, as Ma Chao expected, seeing that Zhangju and Qiu Lihua could survive the rebellion and surrender, the major foreign tribes near Yuzhu were ready to take action. Among the major foreign tribes, the first to take action was the Fuyu tribe in the north of Suantu County. Not long ago, the court was furious because Gong Sun-yan, the head of the Gong Sun family in Liaodong, colluded with foreigners in Suantu County to assassinate Princess Wanyan repeatedly. So Emperor Ling of the Han dynasty sent Lu Feng to lead his army to Suantu County to suppress the foreign tribes. Among the countless foreigners Lu Feng massacred in Suantu County at that time, most of them were Fuyu people. And he also took the opportunity to use the hands of the leader of the Fuyu tribe to get rid of Gong Sun-yu, who was the governor of Suantu at the time, and pretended to be a foreigner and killed all the Gong Sun-yan and Gong Sun-yu tribesmen. The Fuyu tribe that was massacred by Lu Feng at that time was the branch of Fuyu in the north of Suantu County. They also accepted the rule of Fuyu King Wei Kutai. It is precisely because of this that Kaiutai, the king of Fuyu, has already hated Lu Feng deeply for the fact that one of his tribes left in Suantu was completely wiped out. He had always wanted to find an opportunity to take revenge, but due to the strength of the Dragon City Iron Cavalry and the fact that the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry had already made a name for itself and was an invincible force, he was very afraid of the strength of Liaodong King Lu Feng and did not dare to take the initiative. However, the gentle policy implemented by Lu Yu after he became Yuzhu gave Wei Kutai unlimited hope. He knew that Liaodong County was Lu Feng's home base, and he personally led the Dragon City Iron Cavalry and Red Blood Dragon Cavalry to guard it. It was naturally difficult for him to break through his defense with his own army of 100,000. But Lu Feng had his own people massacred in Suantu that day, and Suantu was also the former territory of his people, so he decided to send out all 100,000 troops to attack Suantu first. After all, taking Suantu County was equivalent to avenging the people who knew they had died in Suantu County. Moreover, after Gong Sun-yu's death, the new governor of Suwon County sent by the imperial court was obviously easier to bully than Lu Feng. And with Lu Yu's gentle policy as a guarantee, even if Liaodong is adjacent to Suwon, Lu Feng would never dare to privately lead his army to Suwon to stop him. As for if he wanted to report to Lu Yu first, Lu Yu might not agree. If we can capture Suwon County, recruit Suwon's defenders, recruit some Han people from Suwon as slaves, and then attack Liaodong, we may be able to stand up to Lu Feng. Besides, with Zhangju and Qiulahu rebelling and surrendering, and being able to save their lives, what else does Wikutai have to fear? So what if we lose the battle? At the worst, he could just surrender temporarily and surrender to Lu Yu, and he could still save his life. In this way, Wikutai had no loss. Anyway, Fuyu was apparently a vassal state of the Han dynasty, so there was no harm in surrendering once more. But if it really succeeds, wouldn't it be possible to avenge Suwon to Fuyu's annihilation by Lu Feng? Besides, even Lu Feng was defeated. Who else among the big men could stop him from Wei Kutai? By then, he would no longer have to look at the face of the emperor of the Han dynasty to act, and he might even be like Tan Shiwei, who was begged for peace and marriage by the emperor of the Han dynasty. This kind of business without capital excited Wei Kutai, and he decided to send 100,000 troops to attack Suwon County. However, he never thought that the new governor of Suwon County sent by the imperial court was just Lu Feng's puppet. The one who really had the final say in Suwon County was left by Lu Feng in Dianwei of Suwon County. As early as when Lu Yu accepted Zhangju and Qiulahu's request to surrender, Guojia had expected that foreigners would take the opportunity to invade Suwon County. So he had already sent a message to Dianwei, asking him to always pay attention to the developments of the major foreign races outside Suwon. Once those foreigners make any slight movement, they will immediately send troops to ambush them. Although Dianwei was reckless and irritable and did not like to use his brain, he listened to Lu Feng's words very much, and because of Lu Feng's trust in Guojia, he also believed in Guojia's words. Therefore, Dianwei had no doubts about Guojia's advice. He sent a large number of scouts to the major foreign tribes outside Suwon. As soon as Wei Kutai mobilized his army, Dianwei received the news. So he immediately led 3,000 dragon soldiers and tens of thousands of Suwon County soldiers to ambush at the border of Suwon County. As soon as the 100,000 Fuyu army led by Wei Kutai entered the encirclement, Dianwei led the army to fight out. The unprepared Baiyo army fell into complete chaos. Under the leadership of Dianwei, Suwon's army suddenly killed left and right among Fuyu's army, especially the 3,000 dragon warriors, crushing Fuyu's army like heavy tanks. Dianwei even wielded his double iron halberds and killed them all. After 2 hours of fighting, the 100,000 strong Baiyo army was massacred by the Suwon County army. Long Liuzo killed half of the men and contributed a lot of job transfer points and accumulated kills to Lu Feng. When the news came out, Lu Yu was furious and immediately impeached the prefect of Suwon County to the court. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 162. Lu Yu, the shepherd of Yuzhu, submitted a memorial to the court to impeach the current prefect of Suwon County. In the memorial, Lu Yu said, "Since I was appointed by your majesty as the shepherd of Yuzhu, I have been working hard every day and want to govern Yuzhu well. However, Yuzhu is located in a remote area and is the border of the Han dynasty. It has been invaded by foreign tribes all year round. Therefore, I think about it day and night, how to save the people of Yuzhu from the suffering of foreign invasion. In today's Yuzhu, due to the strategy of King Bingjian and Yubuping governor Gong Sunzan, they would rather kill than let go of the aliens in Yuzhu, so all the major foreign races are temporarily afraid to invasion. But this calm is only on the surface and temporary. Secretly, the major foreign races have long been dissatisfied with the 2 of them, but they dare not speak out because of the powerful combat power of their troops. If the 2 of them leave in the future in Yuzhu, the major foreign races that have been suppressed for a long time will inevitably unite to riot. This will definitely become a disaster in Yuzhou. According to legend, as early as the time of Emperors Yao and Shun, because the Yellow River was overflowing and causing disasters, Emperor Yao ordered Chongbo Gun to control it. Yellow River. At that time, Gun adopted the water barrier method of setting up river embankments on the bank, which temporarily alleviated the flooding in the Central Plains and saved the people from floods and fires. His hard work was highly rewarded. However, because the water was cut off and blocked in the middle, the water level became higher and higher. In the end, the Yellow River burst its banks, causing more serious losses than previous floods. Later, Emperor Shun ordered Gun's son Yu to control the flood. Yu learned from Gun's failure to control the flood, changed the method of blocking, and channeled the flood. After 10 years, it took 3 years to finally completely solve the problem of flooding in the Yellow River. I was inspired by Dao's flood control and believed that the methods used by King Liaodong and Gong Sunzan to treat foreigners were just like Gun's control of the Yellow River, which was a blockage. Although this method has been effective for the time being, but as time goes by, as the dissatisfaction of the aliens rises more and more like the water of the Yellow River, it will eventually break out. At that time, it will be a disaster for Yuzhou and even the entire Han dynasty. Therefore, I adopted the big method. Yu's method of diversion was to adopt a gentle policy toward the foreigners, try to meet their demands, and no longer massacre them. I believe that it won't be long before the foreigners will understand that we Han people have good intentions towards them, and they will no longer treat them from the bottom of their hearts. Want to invade the Han dynasty? This is the best way to fundamentally solve the problem of foreign invasion. However, I continued to implement the policy of gentleness, but encountered silent resistance from the prefect of Suantu County. I had ordered a ban on the massacre of foreign races, but the prefect Suantu did not know why did he anger the king of Fuyu, Wikutai, who led an army to attack Suantu. As a result, the prefect of Suantu sent people to ambush Wikutai's army on the border outside Suantu County, and actually massacred Fuyu's 100,000 strong army. Exactly. What Grand Administrator Suantu did was simply to ignore the Ministeri Euro Trademark's orders. I thought that I could tolerate it if he didn't Euro Trademark to obey the Ministeri Euro Trademark's orders, but as a Yuzhou who was personally conferred by Your Majesty, I represented Your Majesty a Euro Trademark's decision. Moreover, His Majesty had just ordered the restoration of the state pastoral system and ordered the state pastoral minister to take charge of all counties in the state. Less than a month later, Prefect Suantu openly disobeyed his order. This was as if he was disobeying His Majesty. He obviously thought that Your Majesty would re-establish the state pastoral system and make himself the power of the prefect has been suppressed, so he is expressing his dissatisfaction. I sincerely request Your Majesty to severely punish the prefect Suantu in the name of upholding the prefectural pastoral authority of each state. Lu Hong originally thought that re-establishing the prefectural pastoral system would reduce the threat of rebellion in various places. Unexpectedly, less than a month after the state pastoral system was restored, and it was unclear whether the rebellion had diminished, someone would blatantly disobey his orders. This made Lu Hong very angry and immediately ordered the dismissal of the prefect Xiantu and the appointment of a new prefect to express his support for Lu Yu. Lu Yu was naturally very excited when he saw that Emperor Ling of the Han dynasty supported him so much. He had dismissed Grand Administrator Xiantu as soon as he impeached him. With the precedent of the governor of Suantu County, Gong Sunzan must have wanted to continue to be his governor of Yuboping, so he would not dare to disobey his orders again. However, what Lu Yu, Han Ling Emperor Lu Hong and others did not know was that the dismissed prefect of Suantu County was really unjust. Since Lu Feng had secretly sent people pretending to be foreigners to exterminate Gong Sunyu, the former prefect of Suantu County, he naturally had the intention to bring the entire Suantu County under his control. That's why he left Dianwei in Suantu County and handed over 3,000 dragon warriors to Dianwei to rule. In fact, Before the Suwon-tu governor took office, the entire Suwon-tu county soldiers and all other officials had secretly taken refuge with Lu Feng and obeyed Dian Wei. Therefore, Governor Suwon-tu has been nothing more than Lu Feng's puppet since he took office. But now that he has been dismissed, the position of Governor Suwon-tu is now vacant. Dongzhou, who was still the governor of Hedong at the time, wanted to seize the opportunity and let his younger brother Dongmin become the governor of Suwon-tu. So, as before, Dongzhou bribed Zhang Rang with a huge sum of money and bought the post of prefect of Suwon-tu County from Zhang Rang. Emperor Ling of the Han Dynasty knew and acquiesced that Zhang Rang was selling his official position for money. So Zhang Rang accepted the money and recommended Dongmin to Lu Hong as the governor of Suwon-tu. Dongzhou's son-in-law Li Ryu was a wise man. Knowing Dongzhou's approach, he immediately suggested to Dongzhou father-in-law, "You and the king of Liaodong have long had a rift. And Suwon-tu is too close to Liaodong. If the king of Liaodong knows about Dongmin, he is your brother. I am afraid that the king of Liaodong will frame him secretly. So I ask my father-in-law to think twice." However, Dongzhou listened to Li Ryu's words, shook his head and said, "It's not that our family doesn't know that Lu Feng is in Liaodong. But now officials everywhere are overcrowded. Now, with great difficulty, a prefect of Suwon-tu County offended Lu Yu, was impeached and removed from office, and the position of such a prefect was vacated. Of course, our family must seize it as soon as possible. Otherwise, where else would Dongmin be bought by someone else in a few days? Besides, although King Bingjian had many conflicts with our family, they were all out fighting at the time, and he had not seen Dongmin. Moreover, Dongmin is quite different in age from our family, and he doesn't a Euro trademark T look like our family. Almost no one in the world knows him. As long as our family doesn't a Euro trademark T tell others can't a Euro trademark T tell that he is our younger brother. As for King Lu Feng, I have never met Dongmin, and I don't a Euro trademark T know that we have a younger brother, so I must not have thought of Dongmin a Euro trademark S origin after listening to Dongzhou Euro trademark S words. Li Ryu thought for a long time, and really did not think of any other official position suitable for Dongmin, so he had to said, "Well, I hope the king of Liaodong can't see it." However, what Dongzhou and Li Ryu never dreamed of was that Lu Feng came from later generations and had long known that Dongzhou had a younger brother named Dongmin. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 163. Moreover, as a time traveler, Lu Feng not only knew that Dongmin was Dongzhou's brother, but also had a certain understanding of him. Therefore, after learning that the new governor of Suwon-tu County would be Dongmin, Lu Feng immediately came to Guojia to discuss countermeasures with him. When Guojia arrived at the palace, Lu Feng immediately said to Guojia, "Feng Xiao, I just received news that the imperial court has appointed the prefect of Suwon-tu County, named Dongmin." Guojia frowned, thought for a moment, and then asked, "Dongmin? Does it have anything to do with Dongzhou?" Lu Feng was very surprised after hearing what Guojia said. After all, because he came from a later generation, he naturally knew that Dongmin was Dongzhou's younger brother, but Guojia probably had no contact with Dongzhou and Dongmin, and had never even met each other. But he could guess just by hearing the name and because he specifically raised the matter. What a sharp mind it takes to do this. So Lu Feng nodded and explained to Guojia this Dongmin is Dongzhou's younger brother. After hearing this, Guojia asked in confusion, presumably Dongzhou bought the position of prefect of Suwon-tu County from Zhang Rang. Come and give it to Dongmin. However, with the relationship between Dongzhou and the Lord, how can he safely deliver Dongmin to the Lord? Lu Feng listened to Guojia's words and said, "Although Dongzhou and I have had several encounters. We met several times, but I have never met Dongmin. And based on my relationship with Dongzhou, he would not take the initiative to tell me that he had a younger brother. So I guess Dongzhou must have thought that I didn't Euro trademark T know about the relationship between Dongmin and him. That's why we sent him to Suantu. Guojia nodded and said, in this case, Dongmin must not stay here. With him as a hidden danger in Suantu, maybe he will come here whenever the Lord is not in Liaodong. Attacked. Lu Feng said with a smile, it is because I am worried about this situation that I called you Feng Xiao to discuss how to get rid of Dong Min. Guojia lowered his head and thought for a while, then said, since Dongzhou, both Dongmin and Dongmin think that the Lord does not know their relationship, so we must take advantage of this. Before we get rid of him, we must not make any noise, so as to paralyze Dongmin and make him relax his vigilance towards the Lord. At the same time, we can let General Dianwei order Suantu's officials to flatter Dongmin to gain trust. After a period of time, let the officials who are trusted by Dongmin lure Dongmin out of the city for hunting or other reasons. Then the Lord can send people pretend to be foreigners and kill them. After hearing Guojia's plan, Lu Feng suddenly felt that it was very feasible. So he immediately ordered Guojia's plan to Dianwei and asked him to act according to the plan. Under Guojia's plan, official Suantu released a lot of false news to Dongmin, which really confused him. Soon after, Guojia asked Taishasai to lead 1,000 longbowmen, pretending to be foreigners, and went outside Suantu County, pretending to rob the villages outside the city. At the same time, he ordered Suantu officials to persuade Dongmin to command the Suantu County garrison to attack the foreigners and rescue the people. Dongmin did not have any doubts about this, and immediately ordered the county captain to order all the troops and horses to follow him out of the city to meet the enemy. Since these foreigners were disguised as longbowmen led by Taishasai, they could not really rob the people's property, but were just waiting for Dongmin to leave the city. As soon as Dongmin appeared, he was discovered by Taishasai. In order to show off, they still rushed towards Dongmin's army, but before the two armies came into contact, Taishasai took out his big bow and killed Dongmin with one arrow. After Dongmin died, Taishasai completed his mission and immediately retreated with his longbowmen. Lieutenant Suantuo had already received Dianwei's order and did not order a pursuit. Instead, he returned to the city with Dongmin's body. Not long after, the news came out that Dongmin, the new governor of Suantu County, was shot and killed by a stray arrow during the battle against the aliens. Regarding such news, people from different camps showed different attitudes. Lu Feng personally planned Dongmin's death, and Taishasai's execution ability was so good that outsiders thought it was caused by a foreign invasion, which made Lu Feng very happy. Regarding Dongmin's death, Gong Sunzan's biggest thought was to curse Lu Yu again. He believed that it was Lu Yu's indulgence of foreign races that led to the successive invasions of foreign races around Suantu County. Now even Prefect Suantu has been killed by foreigners. Lita Euro trademark SC. How many people still support his gentle policy? But Lu Yu didn't think so. He has always felt that there is nothing wrong with being tolerant towards foreigners. If Dongmin could remember his gentle policy when the aliens invaded, be more tolerant to the aliens, and give them some food if they were short of food, then the aliens would never kill him. As for the court, there was only excitement. They had just charged Dongzhou a high fee to sell him the position of Governor Xian Tuesday. Within a month, Dongmin died, which meant that the official position could be sold again to make a little more money. However, compared to the various attitudes of other forces, Dongzhou was obviously extremely angry. But he didn't know that Dongmin's death was planned by Lu Feng, so he vented all his anger on Lu Yu. His thoughts at this time were the same as Gong Sunzan's, that is, Dongmin's death was all caused by Lu Yu's Huiro policy. If it weren't for Lu Yu's infinite tolerance for foreigners, it would not have been possible for the foreigners in Yuzhu to become more and more rampant. A different tribe would rebel every 3 days. Although Dongzhou hated Lu Feng very much, he had to admit that because of Lu Feng's iron-blooded killing of foreigners, the foreigners in Liaodong became extinct and the people lived a very happy life. If Lu Yu had this attitude, how could the foreigners dare to attack Xiantu, resulting in Dong Min's death? However, just as Dong Zhou was cursing Lu Yu, Li Ru walked up to him and said to him, "Father-in-law and son-in-law think that there is something fishy about Dong Min's death." Dong Zhou was angry about this matter, and after hearing this Li Ru said impatiently, "If you find out anything, please tell me quickly." Seeing that Dong Zhou was so irritable, Li Ru stopped trying to show off and said directly, "My son-in-law suspects that the alien who killed Dong Min is very likely to it was the king of Liaodong who found someone to pretend to be. If it was a real alien race, how could they come up and kill the enemy general with one arrow without saying a word and then retreat directly? According to the character of the alien race, if the enemy general is dead, they will definitely take advantage of the enemy. When the army was leaderless, they charged for a while, but they didn't. It was obvious that their goal was to kill Dong Min. Therefore, Lu Feng, the side-by-side king, must have seen through Dong Min's identity and deliberately designed to kill him. Dong Zhou. After listening to Li Ru's analysis, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case, and he immediately roared, "Lu Feng, our family will not kill you to avenge Dong Min." Li Ru saw Dong Zhou being so excited, and said, "Father-in-law, Lu Feng has a high position and is very powerful. To deal with him, we must have all the power in the government. Three Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace." Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 164. Dong Zhou fell into deep thought after listening to Li Ru's words. Of course he also knows that nowadays, Lu Feng is definitely in a high position and is not something Dong Zhou can easily attack. Although Dong Zhou now relied on bribing Zhang Rang, he got a position as the governor of Hedong, controlling a county. Moreover, Hedong is adjacent to Luoyang, which is an important place before Luoyang and has strong military strength. In addition, he had contributed greatly to quelling the rebellion in Liangzhou not long ago, and was granted the title of Marquis of Jixiang by Emperor Ling of the Han Dynasty. Such a status is already prominent and powerful in the eyes of others, but compared with Lu Feng, it seems a bit insignificant. Although Lu Feng's official position was also that of a prefect, which was on the same level as Dong Zhou, Lu Feng did not only hold the position of a prefect. He was also a clan member of the Han Dynasty, and unlike Liu Bei who only had the name of a clan but no territory or manpower, Lu Feng was a true clan member. Emperor Ling of the Han Dynasty Lu Hong not only personally included Lu Feng in the Han family genealogy, but also named him King Bingjian. With the throne, Lu Feng is a true king of vassals, able to open mansions and recruit talents, which is far beyond the comparison of Dong Zhou. Not only Dong Zhou, but also other Han clan members Lu Yu, Lu Yan, Lu Biao and others were not granted the throne. And Lu Feng not only had the throne, but also had military power. It can be said that Lu Feng was the most prominent person in the entire Han dynasty, except for the Han Ling Emperor Lu Hong. Because according to the rules, in order to avoid rebellion by the feudal kings, all the feudal kings only have thrones and fiefs, but they do not have the power to govern or military. The imperial court would set up the position of prime minister in the feudal prince's fiefdom to fully manage government affairs and military affairs. His official position was similar to that of a prefect. Therefore, the current Han dynasty is only Lu Feng. He is a clan member, has the throne, and also has the most powerful army in the world. Of course, this does not include Lu Feng's title of Champion Marquis, which was awarded by Emperor Ling of the Han dynasty to reward him for pacifying the foreign tribes. After the series of official positions, let alone under the current rule of Emperor Ling of the Han dynasty, even in the 400 years since the founding of the Han dynasty, Lu Feng was enough to be called the most powerful official. And that's not all, Lu Hong even wanted to make Lu Feng the one-word king, making Lu Feng's status even more prominent. In terms of status alone, Dong Zhou knew that he could never be Lu Feng's opponent. However, if Lu Feng is simply far superior to Dong Zhou in terms of status, I am afraid that Dong Zhou will still find excuses to attack Liao Dong due to his fearless character. What really forced Dong Zhou to endure was not his identity, but the strength of Lu Feng's army. Although Dong Zhou's soldiers were also elite, he had personally witnessed the combat effectiveness of Lu Feng's soldiers because he had fought against the rebels with Lu Feng twice. Although Lu Feng only brought cavalry these 2 times, Dong Zhou was deeply impressed by both the Dragon City Iron Cavalry that defeated the Yellow Turban rebels and the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry that later put down the Liangzhou rebellion. Dong Zhou knew that although these 2 cavalry groups only had 3,000 men, their combat effectiveness was definitely unmatched by an army of 30,000 men. Moreover, their sophisticated equipment was something Dong Zhou had never seen before. In short, Dong Zhou understood very well that attacking Lu Feng now would definitely be courting death. Therefore, after thinking clearly about the pros and cons, Dong Zhou had no choice but to put his hope in Li Ryu. He asked, when you tell me, Lu Feng is now the number 1 person under the emperor. How high and powerful can he be to kill him? After hearing Dong Zhou's words, Li Ryu asked with a smile, "Father-in-law, sir, where do you think Lu Feng's power comes from?" Dong Zhou replied, "Isn't this nonsense? Of course it was given to him by the emperor." Li Ryu asked again, "Then what do you think, Lu Feng's army, can you win with only the soldiers under your father-in-law?" Dong Zhou saw that Li Ryu didn't answer the question and kept talking about Lu Feng's power, so he became angry and cursed Lu Feng could lead 10,000 people and destroy the kingdom of Goguryeo. That is an army of 5 to 6 million people. How can our family win with such an army? We ask you how you have so much power, how come you are more powerful than Lu Feng, how can you destroy Lu Feng? I'm not asking you to ask questions about our family. If you don't know, just tell me, and then go out to our family and stop making noise here. Li Ryu wanted to show off, but he didn't expect Dong Zhou to curse directly, and he suddenly lost his temper. He had no choice but to whisper to Dong Zhou, "Since my father-in-law knows that our strength alone is not enough to destroy Lu Feng, then we need to unite multiple forces to defeat him. Of course, Lu Feng, as the one-word king, has a very high position. Human minister, it is too late for other princes to curry favor with him, and they would not respond to our coalition under normal circumstances. However, since my father-in-law has thought that all these powers of Lu Feng were given to him by Lu Hong, Emperor Ling of the Han dynasty, then if Lu Hongjia, if it collapses, can he still have such great power?" After hearing Li Ryu's words, Dong Zhou was so frightened that he almost dropped the tea bowl in his hand. He looked left and right and found that no one was eavesdropping, so he whispered to Li Ryu, "Do you know that if someone heard what you said just now, and if it reaches the ears of the emperor, it will kill you?" Li Ryu said with a smile, "Father-in-law, don't panic. My son-in-law sent someone to be on guard before he came. No one can hear our conversation. However, my son-in-law does have a clever plan that can help my father-in-law control the government and kill Lu Feng." Dong Zhou heard this and hurriedly asked, "What is the plan? Tell me." Li Ryu smiled and said, "Since Lu Feng's power comes from the emperor, then we will let the sky collapse. Only when the emperor dies, everyone will." The big forces went back to reshuffle the cards. And Emperor Ling had already emptied his body due to his addiction to women in recent years, and he might not be able to do it anymore. However, he has not established a prince for a long time. Now, the 2 princes, no matter the eldest, both the Prince Lu Bian and the second Prince Lu Xie, are too young. Therefore, no matter who succeeds as emperor, he will definitely need someone to support him. And if the person who supports him to ascend the throne is his father-in-law, then isn't his father-in-law Quan? Is he turning against the government? Even if Lu Feng is a side-by-side king, he is just a side-by-side emperor, and his father-in-law is the one who controls the emperor. If Lu Feng is said to have deliberately rebelled, all the princes in the world will believe his father-in-law's words and attack Lu Feng. Even Dong Zhou was horrified by Li Ryu's vicious plan. He didn't expect that Li Ryu's plan turned out to be regicide. However, if this plan succeeds, the results will indeed be excellent. So Dong Zhou asked, does when you have a specific plan? Liu said, does my father-in-law know that Lu Hong is now obsessed with becoming an immortal? If there is a highly poisonous medicine at this time, we say it is an elixir. Take it. If you do it, you will become an immortal. What do you think Lu Hong will do? Three Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 165. If someone he trusted told Lu Hong that the elixir was an elixir, he might take it. But whether it is you or our family, Lu Hong may not believe it. If he lets someone eat one to try it first, and that person is poisoned to death, he will definitely not eat it again and will arrest us. Therefore, he had to find someone he could trust to donate the elixir to him. But, where can I find this person? Liu said with a smile. Father-in-law, why should you worry? Now I'm afraid I already know that my health is deteriorating, and I might run out of energy at some point. That's why he is so obsessed with becoming an immortal, and wants to live forever with the help of his magic. The king of Liaodong had already arrived in Luoyang, and Lu Hong could have taken the opportunity to put him under house arrest in Luoyang, but in the end, because the king of Liaodong said that he could help him find the way to become an immortal, Lu Hong actually let the king of Liaodong go. Lu Hong must have always been wary of King Liaodong, but in order to become an immortal, he did not hesitate to let go of the only person in the world who could threaten his throne. It can be seen that for Lu Hong, becoming an immortal is greater than all other desires. Therefore, the son-in-law believed that as long as a Taoist priest held a pill and said that eating it would make him an immortal, and there was only one pill in the world and it would be gone after eating it, then Lu Hong would definitely eat the pill himself. Dong Zhou listened to Liu's words and finally nodded and said, when Yu's words are reasonable. If there was only one, Lu Hong would be reluctant to take it out and let others test the poison for him. But, where are we going to find such a fatal elixir? Seeing that Dong Zhou agreed with his idea, Liu smiled and said, my father-in-law, don't worry about this pill. My son-in-law had seen some Taoist priests selling elixirs along the road a long time ago, and said that these elixirs were elixirs and that if you eat them, you can become an immortal. Naturally, my son-in-law didn't believe that a single elixir could make people become immortals. If there were such good things in this world, wouldn't these Taoist priests be the ones who created immortals? If they really took this elixir and could become immortals, they would have already taken it themselves, so how could they possibly sell it? However, my son-in-law still thought that this elixir might be useful in the future, so he bought a lot from those Taoist priests. Later, my son-in-law actually found someone to try the elixir. It didn't have any strange taste after eating it, and it wouldn't make people become immortals. But maybe the Taoist priests put something into it when refining it. Several people who took a lot of elixirs bled to death that night. Therefore, even if Lu Hong doesn't believe it and finds someone to test the poison, just eating one pill will definitely not kill anyone. Lu Hong himself was already weak due to excessive indulgence. My son-in-law can guarantee that he will die soon after eating it. Dong Zhou couldn't calm down for a long time after listening to Liu's words. Although Dong Zhou treated everyone very cruelly, and could even be said to be cruel, he never thought about killing the emperor. After all, the idea of a euro loyalty to the emperor since Confucius has passed after Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty deposed hundreds of schools of thought and respected Confucianism, it had already been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Even Dong Zhou did not dare to say it, or even think about regicide himself. However, once he succeeded, the huge temptation still made him want to know the details of Liu. What kind of plan is there? So Dong Zhou asked, when you are right. Emperor Han Ling will definitely not be able to resist the temptation of becoming an immortal and take the initiative to take the elixir. The source of this elixir has also been solved. So what are your plans after Lu Hong passes away? Luoyang is heavily guarded. Even if Lu Hong dies, it is impossible for our family to lead troops into Luoyang. This will only make He Jin and others think that our family is going to take the opportunity to rebel, and they may join forces with Zhang Rang to attack our family first. But if we don't lead troops into Luoyang, and our family goes alone, we won't be able to control the situation at that time. Neither He Jin nor Zhang Rang will let our family control any prince. Tell me, how can our family lead troops into Luoyang without being targeted by them? After hearing Dong Zhou's question, Li Ryu smiled confidently and said, "My father-in-law, why should I worry about this matter? My son-in-law has already made a plan. Today's court seems peaceful, but in fact it has long been divided into two factions, and neither can tolerate the other. Now that Lu Hong is alive, he can still suppress these two factions. Once Lu Hong dies suddenly, the two factions will inevitably split instantly, triggering serious conflicts and even fighting each other. The fundamental reason for the conflict between the two factions is that Lu Hong has never established a prince. The second prince Ye lost his mother at a young age and was raised by the Empress Dowager Dong, the mother of Emperor Ling. She even treated Lu Bian as her own. The eldest Prince Bian was born to Empress He. Empress Dowager Dong and Empress He both wanted their own children become a prince. Therefore, it is impossible to reconcile the conflicts between the two parties. The backers of Empress Dowager Dong's faction were Zhang Rang and other 10 regular attendants. They served at Emperor Ling's side all year round and were deeply trusted by Emperor Ling. They also controlled half of the Yulin army's military power. The backer of Queen He's faction is naturally Queen He's brother, General He Jin. He Jin was the leader of the military Attica copyright S in the world. Although he had been in the palace all year round and had never led an army to fight, he still had the city guards to rely on. Emperor Ling was unfavorable to the crown prince, so Empress Dowager Dong and Shi Chenqi wanted to make Lu Xie the young emperor to ensure that they would still have their current transcendent status in the palace after Lu Hong's death. Empress Dowager He and He Jin wanted to make Lu Bian the young emperor, so that the Han family would have the final say in the world of their He family. Therefore, both parties will inevitably want to establish a new emperor according to their own ideas at all costs. However, perhaps Lu Hong had known about the contradiction between the two sides for a long time, and in order to prevent any one family from becoming dominant, he had been strictly controlling their military strength. Nowadays, the forces in the hands of both sides are roughly equal, and the combat effectiveness of the Yulin army and the city guards is also about the same. Naturally, neither one can completely suppress the other. As a result, if they want to defeat each other, they must find ways to find foreign aid to help them. In this world, the only prince in the world who has the strength to become a qualified foreign aid and is relatively close to Luoyang is you, my father-in-law. Therefore, no matter who wants to recruit foreign aid, they will definitely come to you, father-in-law. You will agree to whoever finds you first. But we must deliberately delay the time of entering Luoyang, so that they can kill each other first. When both sides have lost most of their casualties and no one is our opponent, we will then enter Luoyang and eliminate them in one fell swoop. At that time, the world will fall under the control of my father-in-law. Dong Zhou was so shocked that he could not speak for a long time after hearing Li Ryu's complete plan. However, he thought for a long time and still said, as the saying goes, the bold will starve to death and the timid will starve. Our family would rather die of starvation than starve to death. Just follow the rule. When Ryu's plan came true. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 166. Dong Zhou thought for a long time before making up his mind to follow Li Ryu's plan, not because he was afraid, but because he had never thought of taking the path of regicide. However, he carefully thought about the plan proposed by Li Ryu, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was a very feasible strategy. Perhaps the only difficulty is how to let Lu Hong know that after eating this elixir, he can become an immortal. As long as this problem is solved, all other problems are just sitting at home and waiting for the opportunity. Obviously, the plan proposed by Li Ryu was very complete and detailed, and it had definitely been carefully thought out and planned long ago. In fact, this is exactly the case. Even if there was no assassination of Dongmin by Lu Feng, the king of Liaodong, Li Ryu would still find an opportunity to propose this plan. It can be seen that he did spend a lot of brainpower in order to allow Dongzhou to dominate the world. It's just that he hasn't found the right time to say it yet, because he is afraid that Dongzhou will refuse. He was even afraid that Dongzhou would think of him as a person who was ambitious, vicious, and reckless in his actions, and was wary of himself. It happened that the king of Liaodong planned to assassinate Dongmin, which made Dongzhou furious and wanted to get rid of Lu Feng to avenge Dongmi, and this gave Li Ryu a very suitable opportunity to raise this matter. At this time, Dongzhou was so stimulated by Dongmin's death and the power after the success of Li Ryu's plan that he did not even think about when Li Ryu came up with this plan. After Dongzhou decided to secretly murder Lu Hong and take control of the young emperor according to Li Ryu's plan, he said to Li Ryu, the plan is set, but you need to be personally responsible for this matter. After all, this matter is of great importance. There are few mistakes, and if others see the clues, not only you, but also our family will lose their heads. Therefore, our family needs a completely trustworthy person to be fully responsible for this plan. And in our family, everyone among your subordinates and family, only Wen Yu has the ability to deal with all changes, and you are the only one our family trusts 0.5%. Besides, you came up with this plan, and you are the only one who knows how to operate it best. Lita Euro trademark S, change it to someone else. I'm afraid that he will mess it up. So we will leave this most important thing of donating medicine to you after. Dongzhou finished speaking. Li Ryu immediately said, since my son-in-law came up with this plan, it should be up to him to do it. Be responsible. Please rest assured, father-in-law, no matter what happens, my son-in-law will be free and sensible and will definitely let Lu Hong take this elixir willingly. With Li Ryu's guarantee, Dongzhou was completely relieved. Li Ryu immediately went back to pack his things, pretended to be a Taoist priest, and headed to Luoyang alone. After entering Luoyang, the fake Taoist priest Li Ryu secretly asked the people in the city about the location of General He Jin's mansion. Later, after arriving near He Jin's mansion, Li Ryu stopped moving forward. Instead, he put his luggage on the ground and took out the Dragon City rice paper that had already been written on it and spread it on the ground. Then he sat on the floor and began to close his eyes and rest. Such a Taoist priest's dress and strange behavior attracted the attention of many people around him. Soon after, the news reached He Jin's ears, and He Jin immediately rushed over to check it out in person. What can attract He Jin is naturally the words written on the rice paper in front of Li Ryu. The elixir of immortality can become an immortal after taking it. He Jin read the words on it and asked Li Ryu, what's the use of your elixir? Li Ryu knew that the person coming was He Jin, but he still didn't raise his head or open his eyes, pretending to be mysterious, and said, take one. After that, you will feel refreshed and get rid of impurities in your body. If you take it according to the dosage, you will become an immortal in 7,749 days, travel to the heavenly palace, and live forever. Ever since Lu Hong read Journey to the West written by Lu Feng, from then on, he became obsessed with becoming an immortal to the point of madness, and kept urging He Jin to find a way for him to become an immortal. However, there is no way to become an immortal in this world. Even if there is, it cannot be found casually. Therefore, He Jin had been tortured by Lu Hong's orders for a long time and almost collapsed. At this time, he suddenly saw that the Taoist priest was selling elixirs, and said that they were elixirs and that after eating them, he would become an immortal. This made him overjoyed. So He Jin quickly asked, is this elixir of yours really so magical, and where did you get it? After hearing He Jin's question, Li Ryu finally opened his eyes, pretending to be angry and said, "Is it true? It's magical, you'll know after you eat it. As for where I got it, what does it have to do with you? If Pandeo told you, wouldn't all the guests be snatched away by you, and who would I sell this elixir to?" He Jin listened. Li Ryu was shocked at his words. Since the news about Lu Hong's obsession with becoming an immortal spread, many people have pretended to know how to become an immortal in order to defraud the rewards. Almost all of these people had a flattering face. They were whatever He Jin said. After being deceived many times, He Jin naturally knew that those people were liars. But today this Taoist priest is completely different. He ignored me and didn't take the initiative to sell. He even got angry when he asked too many questions. However, He Jin felt that this person had real abilities, and only those with real abilities would be so confident. So he stopped talking, thinking that since the emperor had tried so many unreliable methods, maybe this Taoist priest's elixir was really useful. So He Jin asked Li Ryu how to use elixirs to become immortals, and bought all the elixirs he had in hand. Later, He Jin personally delivered the elixir to the palace and handed it to Lu Hong. During this period, Lu Hong fell into a crazy obsession with becoming an immortal. When he heard that there was an elixir for becoming an immortal, he took it without much doubt. Just after taking this elixir, Lu Hong felt that he was instantly refreshed and had endless energy in his body. He didn't know whether it was a psychological effect or some other reason. Even the tired feeling of being drowsy all day is gone. For several days, Lu Hong felt that his body was getting better and better, and he felt very happy, thinking that he was really going to become an immortal. In response, he also specially rewarded He Jin with a large sum of gold and silver. According to the instructions given by Li Ryu, Lu Hong would need to take the elixir again after 7 days. However, what no one expected was that after Lu Hong took the elixir, he instantly felt hot all over and had a splitting headache. Within half an hour, he bled to death from his 7 orifices. Hanling Emperor Lu Hong, who was originally alive and kicking the day before, actually bled from his orifices and died instantly after taking the elixir given to him by He Jin. This shocked everyone, and instantly triggered a conflict between the He Jin and Shi Chenshi factions. Zhang Rang, who was the first to react, planned to take the opportunity to get rid of He Jin, but He Jin did not fall into the trap, and instead planned to directly support Liu Bian to ascend the throne and proclaim himself emperor. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 167. After the death of Hanling Emperor Lu Hong, according to the idea of the first of the 10 permanent servants, He Jin was eliminated first. With He Jin's death, Queen He had no support, and naturally could not mobilize the city guards. Without the support of the army, Queen He and Liu Bian were bound to fail. In this way, Zhang Rang could support Liu Xie to ascend the throne and proclaim himself emperor. Now that Liu Xie is too young to be in charge of the government, Zhang Rang and the Empress Dowager Dong can participate in the government on the pretext of assisting Liu Xie, and even have power comparable to that of the emperor. When Liu Xie grows up, he will naturally trust Zhang Rang because of Zhang Rang's contribution to helping him become emperor, just like Lu Hong, the Ling emperor of the Han dynasty. Therefore, Zhang Rang believes that supporting Liu Xie to become emperor will preserve his current power and status, and may even improve him to a higher level. Therefore, Zhang Rang, Zhao Zhong, Duan Gui and other 10 permanent servants discussed how to get rid of He Jin. In the end, they decided to conceal Lu Hong's death and not announce the funeral secretly. They also used Lu Hong's name to announce his entry into the palace. And they ordered 100 Yulin troops to ambush the palace and wait until he entered the palace to kill him. When He Jin received Lu Hong's summons, he didn't know that Lu Hong had passed away at this time, so he went directly to the palace to meet Lu Hong without any precautions. As a result, the guard at the palace gate saw He Jin and didn't know the truth. He stopped He Jin and said to him, "General, please stay." He Jin saw that the guard who stopped him was an acquaintance, so he asked, "What's the matter? Do you know why your Majesty ordered General Ben to enter the palace today?" The guard glanced into the palace in a panic, and then said nervously, "General, run away quickly, your Majesty has passed away. Zhang Rang wants to, in order to get rid of you, someone pretended to pass an imperial edict to announce your entry into the palace. In fact, there are already more than 100 swordsmen and axemen ambushing the palace. As soon as you enter, they will come out from both sides, determined to kill everyone. General, you are staying in the palace." He Jin suddenly broke into a cold sweat after hearing the guard's words. He hurriedly asked, "Your Majesty was fine yesterday, why did he suddenly die today?" The guard sighed and replied, "I don't know what happened specifically, but I heard that I don't know who the bastard wanted to rebel and offered an elixir to His Majesty. It turned out that the elixir was poisonous. His Majesty bled to death within an hour after taking the elixir today." After hearing this, He Jin felt his eyes darken, and immediately without further ado, he fled back to the general's mansion in a panic and convened everyone to discuss countermeasures. At the same time, He Jin thought that Lu Hong died after taking the elixir of eternal transformation. The elixir must be poisonous. However, wasn't the elixir dedicated to Lu Hong by himself? Thinking of this, He Jin was frightened to death. He secretly thought that the Taoist priest selling elixirs must be someone else pretending to be someone else. He deliberately went to sell elixirs near his residence just to attract his attention. And he knew that Lu Hong was seeking the way to become an immortal, so he would definitely take this pill regardless of anything else. But he never thought that this fake Taoist priest was not seeking money, but to murder the emperor. In other words, it may be that he wants to kill himself. He knew that he would definitely give this elixir to Lu Hong. In this way, he not only killed the emperor with his own hands, but also made himself the sinner who murdered the emperor. Thinking of this, He Jin could no longer hold back the anger in his heart and just wanted to kill the fake Taoist priest who deceived him immediately. However, the people sent out to search did not find him. After all, after so many days, the man must have run away long ago. If Zhang Rang and others knew that the elixir was dedicated to Lu Hong, they would definitely tell the world that they were regicides. In desperation, He Jin could only tell all his subordinates what happened and seek their opinions. After knowing the whole story, Sili Colonel Yuan Shao analyzed, judging from the behavior of this fake Taoist priest, someone must want to frame the general. But this person must not be Zhang Rang and other 10 regular attendants. First of all, Emperor Ling of the Han Dynasty, only by being alive can they ensure their power. They cannot destroy the Great Wall and kill the Ling Emperor in order to frame the general. Secondly, if it is really them, they will not use false edicts to order the general to enter the palace to murder you, but directly declare that the world is your Majesty. He died suddenly after taking the elixir given by the general. The general plotted to kill the emperor and wanted to become the uncle of the country. In this way, the general would become the object of contempt by the people in the world. However, they did not do so, which proved that it was not them. "I want to frame you." Then Cao, the captain of the Dian army, suggested to He Jin, "General, now that Zhang Rang and others have made up their minds to kill you, the only way to deal with it is to seize the opportunity. We will lead the troops into the palace immediately." Exposed the death of Emperor Ling to his face, and directly declared the prince to be the emperor, and used 5,000 troops to force Zhang Rang to recognize the title of emperor. Cao's proposal won the approval of most people present. So He Jin ordered the commander-in-chief Yuan Shao to lead 5,000 Luoyang guards into the palace, and in front of the coffin of Emperor Ling, he appointed the Prince Lu Bian to succeed him to the throne. With Lu Bian's accession to the throne, Queen He became the Queen Mother, and General He Jin became the uncle of the state. Because Lu Bian was young, the general and uncle He Jin assisted in the government affairs and controlled the power in the government. He Jin, who was in great power, remembered his previous conflict with Zhang Rang and others, and was almost killed by Zhang Rang's design, so he held a grudge against Zhang Rang and wanted to find an opportunity to get rid of Zhang Rang and other 10 permanent servants. Zhang Rang and others knew that they were no longer He Jin's opponents and were afraid of He Jin's revenge, so they ran to Queen Mother He and cried. Since Lu Hong had great trust in Zhang Rang when he was still alive, and Zhang Rang doted on the Queen Mother He, Zhang Rang originally respected the Queen Mother He very much, and the Queen Mother He also trusted Zhang Rang. Therefore, when Zhang Rang cried and begged Queen Mother He to intercede with He Jin, Queen Mother He agreed. Due to the Empress Dowager's reputation, He Jin could not do anything to Zhang Rang and others in political power. And if it comes to military affairs and forced fighting, He Jin will take into account half of the Yulin army in Zhang Rang's hands. There was no good way to get rid of Zhang Rang, which made He Jin depressed, so he asked his subordinates again for strategies. Yuan Shao said, nowadays, there are a large number of troops in every state and county. If the general is worried that he has insufficient troops, why not declare himself as the uncle of the country and invite foreign troops to enter Luoyang Qingqin? He Jin listened to Yuan Shao's suggestion, was immediately overjoyed and said, this is a good plan, so who do you think can take on such a big responsibility? At this time, someone said, the King Lu Feng has a strong army and is a great Han consort, so it is most suitable for him to be the king of Qin in Beijing. He Jin listened. He shook his head and said, the strength of King Bingjian is difficult to control in Luoyang, so this person cannot be used. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 168. He Jin's view that the king of Liaodong was difficult to control also won the approval of some people. Since Lu Feng couldn't do it, He Jin asked his subordinates who could take on the important task of entering the palace as King Qin. At this time, Yuan Shao spoke again. Dongzhou, the governor of Hedong, participated in the battles to quell the rebellion many times, and made great contributions in the Yellow Turban Uprising and the Liangzhou Rebellion. This is enough to prove his loyalty to the court. In addition, he was also born in the army, and his subordinates. The strength of the army is extraordinary, and Hedong is very close to Luoyang, so Shao believes that Dongzhou is the best candidate. He Jin listened to Yuan Shao's words, thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. At this time, He Jin's chief secretary Chen Lin dissuaded her. There is a proverb among the people, which is, catch sparrows with your eyes closed, catch them randomly. For such small things, you cannot use fraudulent means to achieve your goals, let alone important national affairs. How can it be done by deception? Now the general has the royal prestige, holds the military power, and can do whatever he wants. Dealing with eunuchs in this way is like burning hair with a furnace fire. As long as you activate it, you will make a decisive decision with the power of thunder. By giving orders, it is easy to achieve your goal by following the will of God and the will of the people. However, now you have given up your authority and solicited foreign aid. When armies from all over the country gather, the powerful will rule the roost. Doing so is what is called turning weapons upside down. And handing the control to others will definitely not succeed and will only cause chaos. However, He Jin did not listen to Chen Lin's dissuasion. While they were talking, Cao, the captain of the Dian army, also flashed out from the side, clapped his hands and laughed. When He Jin saw this, he asked Cao why he was laughing. Cao smiled and said, there should be eunuchs serving in the palace in ancient and modern times. It's just that the king should not give them power and favor to make them develop to this level. Since they want to punish them, the chief culprit should be eliminated, and only one jailer is enough. Why rush to recruit troops from all over the country? If we want to catch them all, the matter will inevitably be leaked, and I will see the failure of this matter. He Jin was very angry when he heard this. Scolded Cao, this matter is of great importance. Before we started taking action, Mengda bluntly said that it would be leaked and failed. What are your intentions? Could it be that Mengde was worried that Dong Zhou would be punished if he got rid of Zhang Rang and other eunuchs? Has the general's trust affected your future? When Cao saw that He Jin was so stubborn and would not listen to dissuasion, but also said such heart-wrenching words, Cao withdrew and sighed and said, "Who must be the one who is messing up the world? Come in." Then Zhengtai, the imperial censor, also advised Dong Zhou is a tough man, not benevolent and righteous, and greedy. If the court relies on his support and grants military power, he will do whatever he wants, which will definitely threaten the security of the court. General, as a relative of the emperor, you have the power of the country. You can act arbitrarily according to your original intention and punish those criminals. You really should not rely on Dong Zhou as a foreign aid. Moreover, things will change if they are delayed for too long, so you should make a decision quickly. Shang Shuluji also said, I had contact with Dong Zhou during the Yellow Turban Rebellion. This man was very ambitious and arbitrary, and he was indeed greedy. If he were to lead troops into the palace to serve the king, I'm afraid it would really lead to an irreversible situation. However, even with the persuasion of so many people, He Jin still stubbornly insisted on letting Dong Zhou lead his troops to Luoyang. After everyone left, Yuan Shao sent someone to send a message to Dong Zhou on behalf of He Jin, ordering him to enter the palace to serve the king. Dong Zhou received He Jin's order to summon him to Beijing and immediately set off on the road. At the same time, he asked Li Ru to send someone to send a letter to the court, saying that the purpose of sending troops this time was to punish the eunuchs and stop the rebellion, so that the ministers of the court would not doubt him. So Li Ru wrote in the name of Dong Zhou, Zhongchang Shi Zhang Rang and others took advantage of the emperor's favor to disturb the world. I once heard that it is better to pump the soup to stop the boil than to draw the fuel from the bottom of the cauldron. Although the sores and carbuncles are painful, they are better. It corrodes the internal organs. In the past, Zhao Yang led the army of Jinyang to clear out the evildoers around the king. Now I am ringing the bells and drums to come to Luoyang and request the arrest of Zhang Rang and others to clear out the evildoers. After receiving Dong Zhou's edict, Yuan Shao was afraid that He Jin would change his mind, so he threatened him today. The contradiction has formed, and the signs of our actions have been revealed. What else does the general want to wait for, instead of making a decision early? Things will change if they are delayed for too long, and Zhang Rang will after they react. It will be difficult to get rid of them. He Jin heard this and knew that time was running out, so he immediately gave Yuan Shao the power to arrest or execute criminals without asking for instructions. Later, he appointed Wang Yun, a middle-ranking minister, as Henan Yin. Yuan Shao ordered his military officials, Fang Lu, to investigate the movements of the eunuchs, and urged Dong Zhou and others to send emissaries to urgently submit a memorial, claiming in the memorial that they would march to Pingtan. At this time, Zhang Rang and others had also learned that He Jin had dispatched Dong Zhou to lead an army of 200,000 to Luoyang, and they instantly understood that He Jin wanted to use Dong Zhou's help to get rid of him. Upon hearing the news, all the 10 permanent attendants were frightened and at a loss, so they had to run to Queen Mother He to cry and plead for mercy. Although the Queen Mother He was He Jin's sister, she was supposed to be in the same camp as He Jin against Zhang Rang and other 10 regular attendants. However, the Queen Mother He's mother Wang Jun and her younger brother He Miao accepted bribes from eunuchs many times and often acted in He Jin's camp. Speak well of them in front of the Queen Mother. So in the face of Zhang Rang and others' cries, Queen Mother He immediately promised to save their lives. However, all the 10 ministers knew that the conflict between He Jin and themselves could not be resolved by Queen Mother He with just one sentence, so they showed disbelief in Queen Mother He's promise. Zhang Rang took the lead and said, Queen Mother, you are magnanimous, and we naturally believe it. It's just that the general has had a long-standing grudge against us. We are worried that he will not spare us, so we invite the Queen Mother to announce that the general will enter the palace and promise not to kill us. Only then can I rest assured. Empress Dowager He was a prostitute and had no scheming intentions, so she agreed. After receiving the edict from Empress Dowager He Jin wanted to enter the palace to see what was going on. However, Yuan Shao, Cao and others dissuaded him and said this is a critical moment to kill the eunuchs. The general must not take it lightly. Besides, Dong Zhou's memorial it has been spread to the court, and the eunuchs will inevitably take self-rescue measures. If the Queen Mother's edict is a conspiracy by the eunuchs, then the general will be in danger if he goes there at this time, so he must not go. However, he said the Queen Mother and this general have been brothers and sisters for so many years, and they have a deep love for each other. It is impossible for her to collude with those thieves to harm me. After saying this, Jin ignored the dissuasion and entered the palace overnight. Not long after, news of Jin's death came out. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 169. The death of General He Jin was actually a plan devised by the 10 permanent servants headed by Zhang Rang. Even before they entered the palace and begged Queen Mother He for forgiveness, they had already decided to strike first. Since He Jin was determined to kill him, he would have to get rid of He Jin first even if he must die. So they had already sent 50 swordsmen and axemen to ambush at the Jiad gate of Changal Palace of Empress Dowager He. When he entered the palace gate, they gave an order and 50 swordsmen and axemen came out and tied up He Jin. He Jin originally thought that he had great power, so Zhang Rang and others must have been frightened and did not dare to do anything to him. However, when he saw dozens of ambush soldiers appearing in front of the door, he finally realized that he had underestimated the enemy too much. Thinking that he might not be able to leave alive today, He Jin instantly felt great fear in his heart. He looked at Zhang Rang, Zhao Zhong and others who had gathered around him, and asked Zhang Rang in a trembling voice, Master Zhang, today the Queen Mother announced that General Ben came to the palace to discuss matters. Why did you tie up Mr. Zhang? Is there any misunderstanding? Zhang, Your Excellency, help me loosen my ties first. I will definitely give you a clear explanation and give you a satisfactory answer. After hearing He Jin's words, Zhang Rang couldn't help but sneered, and then shouted, He Jin, don't stay here with us. Pretentious, don't you know why you were arrested? There are indeed many differences between our two factions over the matter of establishing the crown prince, but since you established Liu Bian as the new emperor, have we ever opposed you? You became the uncle of the state, we gave up and stopped fighting with you. Unexpectedly, you still wanted to kill me and wanted to bring in foreign aid to kill us. How could we just sit back and wait for death? The chaos in the world is not only our eunuch's fault. Moreover, the late emperor was once angry with the Queen Mother He and almost deposed the Queen Mother. We tried to persuade her with tears, and each of us gave tens of millions of our family wealth as gifts to make the late emperor calm down. We just wanted to be under your sect. Now you actually want to try to persuade us. Isn't it too much to kill and exterminate the entire clan? After Zhang Rang finished speaking, he directly pulled out his sword and chopped off He Jin's head. Outside Changal Palace, Yuan Shao, Cao and others who had escorted He Jin all the way were naturally unable to enter the Queen Mother He's palace due to their status. At this time, they were waiting anxiously outside the palace gate. They had not seen He Jin come out for a long time. They couldn't help but be confused. They shouted outside the door, please get in, General. At this time, He Jin's head was thrown out of the wall. And someone shouted inside the wall, He Jin has been executed for treason. Wu Kuang and Zhang Zhang, officers under He Jin, were outside the palace. When they heard that He Jin had been killed, they planned to lead their troops into the palace, but the palace door was closed. Huben Zhonglang sent Yuan Shu, Wu Kuang and others to attack the palace together, slashing down the palace gate with knives, while Zhang Huangman and others held weapons to guard the palace gate. At dusk, Yuan Shu set fire to the Kingsuo Gate of Nangong, hoping to threaten the palace to hand over Zhang Rang and others. Yuan Shao and Cao were furious. They rushed into the palace with swords and shouts. They killed all the eunuchs they met, no matter how big or small. For a while, the palace was ablaze. Seeing this, Zhang Rang and others went to the harem to report to the Queen Mother He, saying General He Jin's men conspired to rebel, set fire to the palace, and attacked the Shangshuman. Then they threatened the Queen Mother He, the young Emperor Liu Bian, and the King of Shenliu Lu Xie. They kidnapped other officials in the palace and fled toward Beigong via Tianqiao Pavilion Road. Shang Shuluji stood under the window of the pavilion with the changa in his hand, raising his head and scolding Xia Yun for being ungrateful. Xia Yun was frightened, so he let go of the Queen Mother He. The Queen Mother He took the opportunity to jump from the window and was spared. Later, Yuan Shao and his uncle Yuan Wei falsely conveyed the imperial edict, summoned Fan Ling, who had close contacts with Zhang Rang and others, and was appointed by Zhang Rang as the Silai colonel, and executed him. Later, Yuan Shao, He Miao and others led their troops to station under Zuyu's gate, captured Zhao Zhong and others and executed them. Wu Kuang and others had always resented He Miao for not being of the same mind as He Jin, and suspected that he had colluded with the eunuchs, so he ordered the army to say the person who killed the general is the chariot general He Miao. The soldiers can be the general revenge. He Jin's subordinates all cried and said, I am willing to risk my life to avenge the general. So Wu Kuang led his troops to attack and kill He Miao and threw his body in the palace garden. Yuan Shao then closed the north palace gate and sent troops to arrest the eunuchs, young and old, and kill them all. A total of more than 2,000 people were killed. Some people were thought to be eunuchs because they did not have beards and were killed by mistake. Yuan Shao took advantage of the situation and led his army to attack and sweep away the palace confinement. Some soldiers climbed up to the Duanmen house and attacked the palace. Zhang Rang, Duan Gui and others were trapped in the palace and had no choice but to walk out of the palace with Liu Bian, Lu Xie, and dozens of others. At night, when they arrived at Xiaopingjin, they happened to encounter Dong Zhou's army. Dong Zhou originally thought that he would see Zhang Rang, young emperor and others after entering Luoyang, but he did not expect to meet them so early. When Zhang Rang saw Dong Zhou, he remembered his previous encounter with Dong Zhou and hurriedly stepped forward and said, Prefect Dong, He Jin has conspired to rebel. Now his officials are killing eunuchs in Luoyang. Please ask Prefect Dong to save me. Dong Zhou laughed and said, Zhang Rang, it stands to reason that you have sold our official position several times at a fair price, so our family should help you. It's a pity that our family has been ordered to be diligent and can't spare you. Do you want to die by yourself, or let our family give you a ride, huh? After listening to Dong Zhou's words, Zhang Rang looked at the 200,000 troops behind Dong Zhou, knowing that he would not end well today, so he turned around and kowtowed to Liu Bian to say goodbye. We are dead, Your Majesty, please take care of yourself. Then Zhang Rang and Duan Gui threw themselves into the river and died. When Dong Zhou saw this, he didn't say much, escorted Liu Bian and Lu Xie, and led the army into Luoyang city. Overnight, the two largest forces in the court, He Jin and Zhang Rang, were both injured and killed. However, the final winner was Dong Zhou, who was behind. Not long after, the news of the death of Hanling Emperor Lu Hong reached Liaodong. When Princess Wanyan learned about it, she was so heartbroken that she shut herself in her room all day long and shed tears. Compared to Princess Wanyan's grief, Lu Feng had no other emotions except accident. He originally thought that his journey to the west would make Lu Hong addicted to immortality, and that no longer being addicted to women would help him live longer, but he did not expect that he would take pills in order to become an immortal. Eventually he was poisoned to death by the poison in the elixir. However, after Lu Hong died, no one would be afraid of his great achievements, and he would feel more relaxed. A few days later, Wanyan Princess Lu Xian, who had been pretending to be a maid, came to Lu Feng's room. Lu Feng was a little surprised by the arrival of Princess Wanyan, but it was reasonable to be worried. After all, Lu Hong passed away, so there was no point for her to stay in Liaodong. However, Princess Wanyan said something that shocked Lu Feng as soon as she opened her mouth. I want to be your woman. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 170. Lu Feng was very surprised after hearing what Princess Lu Xian said. He originally thought that Princess Wanyan came to Liaodong only to deal with the tasks assigned to her by Lu Hong, but with Lu Hong's death, her stay here had no meaning. What's more, although Lu Hong originally asked her to marry him, she didn't want to sacrifice her happiness for politics, so she asked Diao Chan to pretend to be Princess Wanyan to marry him. In addition, she kept saying cold words to him. Lu Feng felt that she must be disgusting with him, and after thinking about it for a few days, Lu Feng thought that she must have come to say goodbye to him. However, he didn't expect Princess Wanyan to say that she wanted to be his woman as soon as she opened her mouth. This made the tea bowl in Lu Feng's hand almost drop to the ground in shock. After a few days of depression, Wanyan Princess Lu Xian seemed to have grown up instantly. She, who had always been a bit unruly and willful, not only became quieter, but also began to learn to watch people's emotions. She saw that Lu Feng didn't seem to have any reaction after hearing her confession, and remained indifferent, thinking that Lu Feng was unhappy because of her previous unruly and willful behavior. So his eyes turned red with grievance, but he still resisted the tears from flowing down. In fact, after getting along with each other for a period of time, Princess Wanyan had already recognized Lu Feng. Especially when she saw that the people of Liaodong lived so happily under Lu Feng's governance. Not only were there no exploitation by the rulers, but all the children could study and find a way out for the future. She could feel Lu Feng's extraordinariness even more. Princess Wanyan, who grew up in the gambling city of Luoyang, naturally knows how difficult it is for ordinary people. In addition, Lu Feng was willing to risk the emperor's suspicion to go into the hinterland of the foreign races to annihilate the major foreign races in order for the Han people not to be bullied by the foreign races. This heroic spirit of not being afraid of hardships and sweeping everything is also moving Lu Xian little by little. After that, she read many of Lu Feng's works, whether they were unique poems that are unique in the world or a dream of red mansions that she never tires of. A euro journey to the west made Lu Xian deeply aware of Lu Feng's talent. These many little things made Wanyan Princess Lu Xian gradually become fond of Lu Feng. She even often imagined that one day she would confess her identity to Lu Feng and then marry Lu Feng according to her father's order. Therefore, after Lu Hong's death, Wanyan Princess Lu Xian regarded Lu Feng as her real husband and her only relative in the world. Therefore, Lu Feng's lack of response made her feel aggrieved. She took the initiative and said to Lu Feng, "Your Majesty, do you think that I am just a maid with a weird temper and am not worthy of you, so you are unwilling to let me be your woman? I know that all your bad impressions of me are it was my fault. I deceived you. In fact, I am not the maid of the Wanyan princess. She is not the real Wanyan princess. I am the real Wanyan princess. Back then, my father secretly rebelled because he was afraid of taking credit for his pride. Then let me marry you and secretly monitor every move between you and Liaodong. However, I didn't trademark T want to become a victim of political marriage, so I found the beautiful palace maid Xiao Hong and asked her to pretend to be me to marry you, while I pretended to be me. I became a maid secretly observing and supervising you. But it didn't trademark T take long for me to be attracted by your temperament. I talked back to you and repeatedly provoked you just to attract your attention. I have been looking forward to the day when my father will no longer doubt you. That way I can legitimately be by your side forever without having to pretend not to care or even have to betray your information. But I didn't trademark T expect that my father would leave before I could wait for this day. Now, although there are Lu Bian and Lu Xie, my 2 younger brothers are still there, but we were not born from the same mother. It can be said that I have no contact with them. Therefore, in this world, you are the only relative in my heart. I hope you can give me a chance to express my love for you. You proved that I am not an unruly and willful princess, but a docile and virtuous wife. After Lu Feng listened quietly to Princess Wanyan's words, his heart instantly felt soft. He pulled Lu Xian over, held him in his arms and said, actually, I have known for a long time which of you is the real princess of 10,000 years. But you are so stupid. Since you think so in your heart, why are you so stubborn? Will I drive you away because you deceived me? Lu Xian was held in Lu Feng's arms, and her mind went blank for a nervous moment. But when Lu Feng said that he had known her identity for a long time, she was shocked all over. Then, Lu Xian raised her head and said, I dare not say it. After all, my father asked me to monitor you and tell him all your movements. Before Lu Xian could finish speaking, Lu Feng interrupted her. The king knows that for such a long time, you have never sent any information about me to the court. In this case, what else do you have to fear? Moreover, I know that you are sad when the Ling Emperor passes away, but why shut yourself up in a room and endure all this pain alone? Xiner, don't worry, I will be your support and your strongest support from now on. No matter what sad things you have, you can tell me, I will help you with ideas and relieve your boredom. If you have any happy things, you can share them with me. I will be happy with you. Princess Lu Xian of Wanyan listened to Lu Feng's affectionate words and made a decision with him. Promise, I suddenly felt that the pain I had endured in the past few days had found an outlet, and tears came out unconsciously. Now that Lu Feng had accepted his affection, Princess Wanyan did not hide her emotions as before. Instead, she lay directly on Lu Feng's shoulder and burst into tears. Lu Feng held Princess Wanyan's trembling shoulders from crying, stroked the hair on her back with both hands, and whispered in Lu Xian's ear, you fool, you didn't know to come and talk to me earlier. I'll cry enough today. Well, starting tomorrow, you must be strong and don't hurt your body. At the same time, Dongzhou, who was far away in Luoyang, came to Li Ryu to prepare the next plan. Originally, according to Li Ryu's plan, after Dongzhou entered the palace, Dongzhou would support a young emperor to ascend the throne. Only in this way could he have the power to follow the dragon and dominate the government. But what they didn't expect was that He Jin also had experts to help him. When Lu Hong died, he immediately made Lu Bian emperor. Lu Bian is the son of Empress Dowager He. When he becomes emperor, the power will not be completely in our hands. My father-in-law should abolish Lu Bian and establish Lu Xie. Only in this way can the kindness of his father-in-law be left in Lu Xie's heart. Dongzhou listened to Li Ryu's suggestion and immediately decided to adopt it, and immediately deposed Lu Bian from the throne and made him King Hungnang. At the same time, Lu Xie was appointed as the new emperor. Lu Feng was furious after receiving the news and said that he would never recognize Lu Xie's position as emperor.